Just a minute. In the last class, I forgot to do the live streaming. I mean, the video recording in YouTube. So today also I was about to forget. Then, then I just remembered that. Well, so we are in the last section of Narada Bhakti Sutras. This name of this section is Mukhya Bhakta Mahima. That is glories and praise for the foremost of devotees. And last time we saw how the foremost of devotees, they, when they talk about God among themselves, how they are overcome by intense emotions, intense devotional emotions. Their voice is choked, their hair stands on their end, and they shed tears in the name of God. And such people have great influence not only on their families but also a wider circle of people through their genuine love for God, which is the result of their genuine spiritual experience. They influence wide circle of people. Next few aphorisms are about the glory or praise about these foremost of devotees, what they do, what effect they have on others. Today we shall take up two aphorisms, 69 and 70. 69, aphorism 69 is one of the longest aphorisms on Narada Bhakti Sutra. Not the longest, one of the longest aphorisms. And 70 is the shortest aphorism of Narada Bhakti Sutra. Only one word aphorism. So let's have a look on these two aphorisms. So aphorism 69. Tirthi kurvanti tirthani sukarmi kurvanti karmani shat shastri kurvanti shastrani. Let's recite it together. Tirthi kurvanti tirthani sukarmi kurvanti karmani sat shastri kurvanti shastrani. So kurvanti is from the word kri. When it is plural, they do, it becomes kurvanti. So kurvanti, they make tirthani, holy places, tirthi, holy. Kurvanti, they make karmani, ordinary activity, sukarmi, into sacred activity. Kurvanti, they make shastrani, teachings, shat shastri, into true scripture. They make holy places holy. They make ordinary activity into sacred activity. They make teachings into true scripture. So Sat and Shastri, when according to the rule of Sanskrit grammar, they together become Sat Shastri. Sat Shastri. So when we break, it becomes Sat and Shastri. Thanks for pointing it out. Teachings, in teachings, E was missing. Okay. Mhm. Thanks for this teaching. All right. So this aphorism is also again the uh, other characteristics of the they means here the foremost devotees, right? Foremost devotees that was mentioned in 66. 66? Yeah, 60, no, 67, 67. Mukhya Bhakta Mahima. They means the Mukhya Bhakta, the foremost of devotees. So one thing, all of, so this aphorism, uh, in very briefly, it can be said, this aphorism wants to say us that people, great people, impart values to things. Great people impart values to things and places. And it is a well known thing. We also know that things, positions, posts, powers in themselves don't have intrinsic values. People of remarkable characters impart values to them. For example, say the post of the designation of the president of US. This is great because in the past, many great people held this post. They imparted value to this post. Everywhere, when we see that some post or some designation or some places are given value, we see most of the cases many great people were associated with those designations or those places. The point is, being is more important than doing. Being, the person is more important than what they are doing, the activity. If we are good, then our actions also will become good. This is the general belief. In the same way, whatever the foremost devotees do, they become extraordinary. This is the uh, essence of the aphorism. First, it says they make holy places holy. So, holy places, tirtha. Tirtha has come from the root of three. Three means anything that helps us to cross over. Cross over. Okay, so cross over Maya, cross over hurdles of life, or cross over this ocean of existence. So Tirtha has a general meaning, anything that takes us to the other shore, that delivers us. But the most common meaning of Tirtha is holy place, places of pilgrimage. So how holy places become holy? Not simply because of their environment or building or structure. Not simply because. That is why we see that sometimes some very small shrine, a small temple can feel more sacred than a large temple, large shrine, which is very ornate. Okay. But compared to that, even a very small shrine can feel more holy to us. I don't want to uh, belittle, but it is my personal experience. In Delhi, there is a big, world's largest temple, probably Akshardham, Akshardham temple. I think it is world largest. So I went there. It's a wonderful temple. It's a piece of architect. It's piece of art. Wonderful. And but there I did not feel any sense of sacredness. Okay. It felt it is for tourists. It felt that it is for tourists. I was thinking at that time when I visited the place that how many people, how many people will be genuinely interested in spirituality or awakened in spirituality by seeing such a piece of art. The temple is a piece of art, but hardly I believe it is so. It is just a tourist spot. But compared to that, I have found a very small hut, a hut, um, which feels as soon as we enter, all of us feel that there is something special there. So, what is the secret of that? The secret is this, that for many years, many centuries even, many holy people, devotees, have thought good thoughts at these places. Spiritual thoughts they have thought, they have spent there. And it creates a vibe, spiritual vibe, which scientifically we cannot explain at all. What is this vibe? But we feel, we feel that vibe. And when we are in these places, come in touch with that holy vibe, we feel a sense of sacredness. So that is the thing that uh, not only the place, not only its architect, not architecture or location matters, but what matters most is how many people have spent or have done spiritual practices or have thought spiritual thoughts on those places. And what are the holy places? We see that mostly uh, birthplace of holy person, like say Jerusalem for the Christians, Mathura for Krishna Bhaktas, because Krishna was born there. It was it was a prison, but it is a now a place of pilgrimage. Then for Jairambati, a very small, nondescript, idyllic village for the devotees of Holy Mother, or a place of spiritual practice, for example, Bodh Gaya, where Buddha did spiritual practice, Dakshineshwar, where Sri Ramakrishna did his spiritual practice, or a wilderness of Judea, where Jesus spent 40 days in solitude. So they become, in course of time, holy place, or places where somebody attained perfection. Again, Bodh Gaya, the Bodh tree, the pupil tree under which Buddha got illumination, or even the Dakshineshwar where Sri Ramakrishna attained realization, or places where some great person started their spiritual ministration. For example, Saranath near Varanasi, where Buddha first started his spiritual ministration. So those places become holier with association of great devotees, saints, sages later on. So they impart sacredness to these those holy places. For example, Dakshineshwar was of course a holy place. So many temples and such a nice place, such a elevating place on the bank of Ganga. But the Dakshineshwar becomes so esteemed a holy place because of Sri Ramakrishna's association with it. There is no doubt about that. In the same way, Vrindavan was already a holy place, but it became more so since Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the great devotee of Lord, he gave so much importance on Vrindavan. So this is what great people do. That this is what those great devotees do. And that is what we see, that it takes time for a shrine to acquire sacredness. For example, when we have a new shrine, newly built shrine in our house or at even any place, at the beginning, it does not feel like that holy, that sacred. The word for that is they call awakened, jagrat, that is, this place is awakened. That is, you can feel the divine vibration here easily. It takes time. It takes time to build, to acquire, for that place to acquire that sacredness. Yes. And I remember one story, where, there is a Jairambati. Jairambati, there is Holy Mother's temple. It was started in 1920. And at the beginning, it was, no, after 1920, I think 1924 or 28. I'm not sure. Probably 1928 at Holy Mother's birthplace. And then they used to um, worship Holy Mother only on a picture of Holy Mother. In 1954, they installed the marble statue of Holy Mother. But many people were not happy with that. Many people. They felt that no, the picture was better. Picture was better, and it does not feel like Holy Mother. This, yes, this is the thing. Many people who were present at that time, they felt at that time the image did not feel like Holy Mother to us. Totally alien we found. Then they said with time, with devotion, with worship, as if the image changed. The image metamorphosed into the the real Holy Mother, real Holy Mother. So the point is, because of many people's holy thoughts, spiritual practices that have gone into this temple, that makes the temple a living place, a place which is vibrant with spirituality. Okay, 1923 was the first time. Thanks for the info. So the point is, those devotees, that is the foremost devotees this chapter is speaking about, with their association, either make a place holy or add to the holiness of a already holy place. So any holy place we shall find, there was a great lover of God who was associated with it, or a place which was already holy and some great devotees of God made it holier, made it holier. That is what Narada is saying. Tirthi Urvanti Tirthani. Tirthani means places which are already holy, they make it even holier, or they impart, or they transfer their holiness to these holy places. That is why there is a belief in India that when we go to the temple, it is our responsibility to do some spiritual practice, because we should contribute to the spiritual vibe. There is a spiritual vibe going on around the temple, and we are getting benefited from that. We are partaking of that uh, spiritual vibe. In our turn, we should also contribute to that spiritual vibe. That's why whenever we go to any famous temple, or for example Kashi Vishwanath temple of Varanasi, after doing all our pranams and all, we shall sit at a corner and do some spiritual contemplation and thoughts. The idea is we should also contribute to this holy atmosphere. So, and think about those people who are already real, those who have realized God, those who uh, become one with God. When they do this kind of things, these holy places, as it were, become holier. The second point was they make ordinary activity into sacred activity. That is, whatever they do become sacred. Even their ordinary actions become extraordinary. I remember, I don't know who said this. Someone said that great people don't do extraordinary work. They do ordinary work extraordinarily. Swami Vivekananda also said that if you want to know the greatness of a person, observe how they do the most common and insignificant work. So, how and why their actions, their ordinary actions become extraordinary. One thing is, these, these devotees, foremost devotees, they do their actions with God consciousness. And one of the characteristics of being God conscious is they are fully mindful in whatever they are doing. Whatever they are doing with full attention and full alertness, and also with a very wide or generous view, a very inclusive view. So for us, which may be an ordinary thing, they are seeing through that ordinary act some great purpose behind that work. And so they are fully alert and their mind is not distracted when whatever they are doing. Swami Ashokananda ji of San Francisco, he used to say that everything we do is a ritual. When our heart is in it, it becomes spiritual. What a fine statement. Whatever we do is ritual, but if our heart is in it, it becomes spiritual. And that is what we see in the life of these great devotees. Whatever they are doing with their full heart, no, not half-heartedly, full-heartedly they are doing. And we remember, now after we joined, the first thing, which was quite an ordeal at that time, we felt the first thing we were taught is every action, every work we were doing in the monastery, try to do with same alertness. Same alertness. So whether it is, we are told the way you are, the with the consciousness with which you are doing the puja, the attitude with which you are doing the puja, you should do every activity in the same spirit, with same alertness. It was a bit difficult, at that beginning, doing everything with alertness, because our mind is usually scattered and we think this is more important, this should be given full attention. Other things we can do without paying much attention. But the thing that we were taught, everything should be done with full attention. Why? We are told that because we have only one mind. We have only one mind. If we are able to do everything with attention, with alertness, same mind will help us when we sit for meditation. So meditation, what we are doing, we are channeling our alertness, our awareness to one direction. And the same mind, if So one work we are doing with full attention. The next work with another, again with full attention. So it will become a habit of the mind to be fully attentive in whatever we are doing. So that is what we were taught. It was really a lesson. I remember Swami Ishadhyanananda, I was reading Swami Ishadhyanananda, the Swami who was here for a long time. Prabhajika Brajapana of Santa Barbara writes about Swami Ishadhyanananda that she was here. She came to Sacramento and she entered Swami Ishadhyananda's room in the morning. After his room was quite open, so anybody could open to his apartment. Um, when she came, Swami Ishadhyanananda, yes, I will come to that. So Ishadhyanananda, when she entered, she found that Ishadhyanananda was making his bed. In the morning, he was making his bed. And Brajapanaji asked her, getting the opportunities, finding the Swami alone, she took the opportunity of asking, Swami, how does it feel to be illumined? How does it feel to be illumined? Swami Ishadhyananda said, I don't find any difference between making the bed or doing spiritual practice, meditation. So this is probably this will give us an idea that sukarmi purvanti karmani. So any act, how any act can be sacred thing for those foremost of the devotees, because their uh, entire mindset has changed. Whatever they are doing, they have a God consciousness. So things they are doing, it becomes worship for them. It is not that they are practicing anymore, or even I doubt they have this idea that it is a worship. But whatever they are doing, it is becoming kind of worship. And Holy Mother, see, Holy Mother, a simple act like after sweeping the courtyard, she used to keep the broom with great care. And one day, we know the story. One day, someone did the sweeping and threw the broom at the corner. Holy Mother noticed it and was very upset. She went and kept the broom the way it should be kept with great care. She said, look, this simple thing, a broom. And she said, the broom also has a dignity. The broom also has a dignity, and that we should maintain, we should remember. So these are some of the examples which show that how even an ordinary activity becomes extraordinary when done by these foremost devotees. The point is then of this phrase that those devotees, because of their God consciousness, does every work with a spirit of worship. Such spirit makes ordinary work into extraordinary work. Yes, so I got a question. Okay, what do you mean by full attention? Being conscious or just full regular attention? Yes, full regular attention. Of course, for us, it is full regular attention. And for them, for the foremost devotees we are speaking of, it is full of God consciousness. Yes, exactly. I got your point. This becomes difficult when doing things like computer, talking to others, reading difficult to understand books, etc. How do we split the mind, or is it done through the heart? Indeed, Indeed. So that is why it is a two steps process. First is to have full attention in whatever we are doing, full attention. Okay. And second step will be when we have full attention in what we are doing, then it will be easier for us to have God consciousness in what we are doing. Okay. God consciousness in whatever we are doing. For the foremost devotees, this God consciousness has become natural. Okay. Has become natural. Now, we are for the sake of practice, what we have to do is whatever we are doing with full attention. Mind wanders, bring it back and do it with full focus. Forget the spiritual aspect of it. If we can do this, we shall feel a sense of peace and I can say a sense of great energy. We find after doing some work exhausted, a feeling of exhaustion. But if we can do this kind of thing with full attention, forget about God consciousness, with full attention, we shall find that we are never exhausted. No, exhaustion becomes because our mind goes here, we go there, we have to bring. Okay, but if we do it with full attention, uh, we'll feel refreshed. We shall feel refreshed. It is, of course, not a very easy practice, but we can remember, at least we should understand the value of being fully attentive in what we are doing. Actually, the lot of studies have shown that the greatest one thing word about happiness is satisfaction is being mindful. And they have interesting. I did not want to intend, but did not intend to speak about. But interestingly, you can see even if there is a TED talk that a group of scientists from I think Harvard, they did one thing that uh, they tracked many people and asked the question while doing different tasks, are you mindful or not? And the finding of involving many people, many activities, they found all activities, all activities are much more enjoyable when we are mindful or attentive. Even so-called painful things or things we don't like, which we think boring, they also become enjoyable if we can do with full attention, with full attention. That is the summation of the uh, summary of the TED Talk, summary of the TED Talk. And I forgot that he ended with that if there is only one jackpot you need to hit, and that is mindfulness, mindfulness to become happy. Okay. And there was another question. Multitasking then could be somehow harmful for spirit. Surely, multitasking is harmful for everybody, because distracting. In fact, the problem is not with distraction. Problem is energy. When I am spending uh, when I am concentrated on this for a moment and then bringing it here, bringing it there, what is happening? A lot of energy is being spent to to withdraw from here to there, and again from there to here, because it has been shown that there is no such thing called multitasking. There is no such thing is called multitasking. We cannot divide our mind into different activity together. Actually, we are, for the time being, we are doing one thing, okay, and in a fraction of second, probably we are turning to another thing, and that is taxing. That is taxing. And What happens with multitasking, the downside of multitasking is this. We can very easily become bored. We can easily become bored with real activities. For example, I can give you an example. You try to read a book, okay, and without the help of anything, just reading the book, okay, and then you try to read the book at the same time, try to listen to music and stop, check your email, and you will find that this reading has become boring. Reading then becomes feel boring. Okay, so they found that boredom is not from the activities. Boredom is when we are giving our mind different options. Okay, different options, like here is junk food, here is healthy food, and junk food are tastier. So mind is looking for the junk food and avoiding the healthy food. So multitasking is definitely not good for spiritual aspirants and not for anybody. For consciousness, we need to increase our focus and thereby creativity. Um, about creativity, I don't know what is the connection of creativity, but the focus is definitely needed for us at this stage. Okay. The point I was trying to make, that if we can do any work with great focus, with great attention, we shall feel this work has become spiritual. We shall feel that this work has become spiritual because we are absorbed in that work. We have become absorbed in that work, and that itself is a spiritual thing. I have seen people, who do everything with equal attention. So when they are doing very ordinary thing, it feels from their countenance, the kind of energy that they are radiating, as if they are engaged in a spiritual practice, So these foremost devotees, even normal activities, ordinary activities, they do with extraordinary awareness. This extraordinary awareness is God consciousness. Okay. So these ordinary activities become extraordinary. Third was, they make teachings into true scripture. I was thinking that analogy is, we see that the celebrities popularize products, merchandise, a shoe, a what they call fashion line, fashion, by their endorsement, Similarly, holy people elevate the status of the scriptures through their endorsement. This is the point Narada is trying to make. For example, Bhagavad Gita. Take Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita was 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita was tucked in 24,000 verses of Mahabharata. Okay, and if Shankaracharya did not pull Bhagavad Gita out of Mahabharata and did a commentary, we would not have probably read Bhagavad Gita the way we are reading it and benefiting from it. So Bhagavad Gita, one of the most read scriptures, most very popular scriptures, would have remained probably obscure had Acharya Shankara not given it independent status and commented upon that. Not only that, even so many people, hundreds and thousands of people worldwide were attracted to Bhagavad Gita when they learned that it Bhagavad Gita was the inspiration behind Mahatma Gandhi, whom many people consider as a spiritual person. So, Bhagavad Gita is a holy scripture, but people like Acharya Shankara or Mahatma Gandhi, by giving importance to Bhagavad Gita, what they have done, these teachings have become scripture. This is what Narada is trying to say us, that Shat Shasti Kurbanti Shastrani. The teachings which are already there, they are making it a good scripture by their association. Because first people are getting attracted by the personality of the person. And then we try to find out, and when we find out that, oh, this is the book that has inspired this person, whom I admire so much, then we are attracted to that person. Okay. So this is what he is telling. Now, here is a quiz. Quiz is, can you associate this part of the aphorism that they make scripture holy, okay, or teaching scripture with any other aphorism we have read so far? It is a bit tough, but not impossible. Anyone? Of course, Naradi Bhakti Sutra, yes. Naradi Bhakti Sutra. Any aphorism, can you remember, which has direct connection with this part of the aphorism? Verse 9. Okay, what was verse 9? Let me see. Keeping holy company. Okay. Any other attempt? Okay, all right. It was verse 12 and 13. Okay. Sutra 12 and 13. Sutra 12 was Bhavatu Nishchaya Urdham Shastra Rakshanam and Annatha Patitya Ashankya. It was said that let there be care for the scriptures even after being firmly established in the truth. Aphorism 12. And Aphorism 13 said, otherwise there is the risk of a fall. And we then discussed that for the illumined people, they don't need to follow scriptures. But still, why they follow? Because they follow the scriptures for setting examples. So scriptures, with the passage of time, lose their relevance. And when such devotees, great devotees, make those teachings, living and meaningful for later generations of people, their faith and a conviction in the scripture is restored. Bhagavad Gita says that whatever a great person does, others do that very thing. Whatever they uphold as authority, an ordinary person follows that, right? What is the verse of Bhagavad Gita? Verse 3.12. Sayat kurute pramanam yad yat shrestha something. I have forgotten for the timing. Let me see. Anyone from Bhagavad Gita 3.20, 3.12? Subhash? Yat yat acharati shrestha tat tat lokanu vartate. Whatever the great people do, others follow. In the same way, these great devotees, when they follow a scripture and reinstate or uh, relieve them, they kind of uh, reinvigorate them. Then ours also belief and conviction in the scripture is again regenerated. So they place before us the truths of the scriptures. For example, um, and that is how our faith in scripture is sustained. There are many things in the scripture. If we don't see exemplified in the life of others, we cannot get convinced. That is what we see in the life of, say, Sri Ramakrishna or Holy Mother. For example, uh, Bhagavad Gita, many places it says that the sign of a yogi, a devotee, is Santushta Satatam Yogi, always content. Then we see in the life of Holy Mother, remarkably content all the time, irrespective of circumstances, people, or events. Then we we get hope that what Bhagavad Gita is saying, it is possible. It is possible to be content under all circumstances. That encourages us. So that is the reason that even after realization that these great people, they follow uphold the scriptures, because if they don't do it, others also won't do it. Then there is a second meaning to this. Second meaning is scripture is a mixture of essentials and non-essentials. We find many things which are not essentials, but in time, because of difference in opinion, stresses or emphasis at wrong places, non-essentials can become essentials, appear to be essentials. Sri Ramakrishna says the scripture is a mixture of sugar and sand, sugar and sand, and we need to find the sugar. So these foremost devotees, they show us by example which are the essentials. For example, Sri Ramakrishna showed us that the essential thing in scripture is transformation of our personalities, our character, and realization. So anything in the scripture that helps us for our transformation and that lead us towards God realization, those are essentials. Other things are non-essentials. So that is what these great people show, that scriptures is a mix. There are many things in the scripture. Which part, which things, which teaching is important for us? So another thing is, through their personal anubhuti, experience, they authenticate the Shruti. If they don't authenticate, we are not sure whether these realizations are possible at all. For example, we read in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, right? Mention of Samadhi. Even in some other scriptures, in later Vedanta scriptures, mention of Samadhi. But have we not seen, Sri Ramakrishna, description of Sri Ramakrishna? We would not have understood that what Samadhi is, or whether it is possible at all. I mean, this is difficult, undoubtedly. Samadhi is not easy thing, but Sri Ramakrishna showed us that Samadhi is a real thing. Samadhi is a real thing. Okay, so we now understand what Patanjali Yoga Sutra is speaking about Samadhi by seeing life of Sri Ramakrishna. So we understand Samadhi is a real thing, Yes, it is not an easy thing, but it's a real thing, and it is a part of spiritual life. That can be a part of spiritual life. So, and their experience distinguish scripture from other book. Scripture is not just any other book. Scripture is a powerful roadmap to spiritual realization. This is the conviction we get from the life of the foremost devotees. We see that following some scripture, they have attained. Following some scripture or keeping some scripture at their guideline, they have attained the highest. So that inspires us. That inspires. For example, you know, many of us are inspired by or love the book called Imitation of Christ. Imitation of Christ by Thomas Kempis. Yes, I think. So why? Because Swami Vivekananda used to carry that book. Swami Vivekananda used to carry that. So it is one of the many books of Christian theology. This book got so much prominence amongst us. And also many of our devotees. This book has inspired a lot. So Swamiji, among many Christian books, Swami Vivekananda, what he did, give this teaching, made this teaching a scripture which we can follow, which we can follow. So this is how the great devotees make teachings a true scripture. What is the point then? The point is those devotees revive the scriptures by their experiences and they inspire us. So this aphorism say that the foremost devotees sanctify the holy places, make ordinary action sacred, and authenticate the scripture by their own experiences and influences. And that leads us to where we started from, that it is people who impart values to things, places, or designations they hold. As in common parlance, that a post, a designation, it might not have so much of intrinsic value. It is people who impart value to them. Similarly, these tirtha, holy places, or sacred act, or scriptures, these become so because they get associated with great people, foremost of the devotees. That is why Swami Vivekananda, in the lecture called Guru, probably, the need of a guru, he said, inspiration always comes from a soul to another soul. Inspiration, there could be many, many books, but real inspiration comes from a soul to soul. And that is what Narada is trying to show us. So I thought I would be able to take aphorism 70, which is the shortest aphorism of Narada Bhakti Sutra, consisting of one word. We shall take up that later on, because this aphorism took 1 hour. All right, any question or thoughts or any ideas you would like to share with me? Can unmute and just share.
Pranams, Maharaj.
Yes, namaste.
Maharaj, I just remembered my experience in Chennai Mutt, when you were talking about how the shrine feels different after a few years. It was my one and only visit to the Chennai Mutt, and they had the new temple already built. And I happened to visit the old shrine,
Yeah.
and I did not even know that it was the old shrine. So when I went there, it was just a completely different place, and I can never. Yeah, it was just
It
very
fe-
different. Yeah.
it feels right, the
Yes,
small
ma'am.
small, yes,
Yeah.
just like Belur Math. Belur Math
Yeah.
also has a old shrine, and then the big temple.
Yeah. I think in Belumat, I remember Nilambar Babu's garden house.
Indeed,
It's a very
indeed,
small room. But
yes,
yes.
indeed,
Yeah.
indeed. And that's the hidden gem of Belur Math. Nilambar Babu's house is the hidden gem of Belur Math because people don't go there usually, and you can go and sit in the shrine, and it is very simple, just Holy
Very.
Mother's picture.
Yes.
This is the only shrine which you can sit in the shrine. In other places you have to sit outside the shrine, and here you can spend as long as you wish. Wonderful place. I forgot whom I don't know whom. Oh yeah, someone from Sacramento went to Belur Math 2 years ago, and I told her about Nilambar Babu's house, and she was so overwhelmed. And there is also Jagadamba Ashram near Kualpara. It's a hut. It's a such a shanty, shanty. It's a shanty, but you will one can feel the spiritual vibration. Indeed.
Yeah. And same Maharaj, yes, Jagdamba Ashram and Balram Mandir, also I
Hmm.
felt the same thing. And
Yes.
of course, Kashipur Garden House. Yeah.
Yes. Indeed. 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 Any other thoughts, ideas, questions, or we can move on to then the guided meditation.
Maharaj, Tiruvannamalai, Ramanashram,
Mm-hmm.
this house, you feel, even now you feel the vibrations.
Uh-huh.
Powerful.
Yes.
Yes, Maharaj, in Ramanashram, there is the old hall, smaller, where Ramana Maharshi used to give his talks. People,
To meet
had
people. Yeah.
satsang with him. And now they also later built a big hall with a marble statue and all that sort of stuff. But the vibrations of the old hall, I mean, the old timers really go to the old hall to meditate early in the morning. Yeah.
Right. So we are all hearing about temples. Can anybody tell about any uh, church or any synagogue where they have felt a kind of spiritual vibrations?
There is a place in New Mexico.
Huh.
It's a place where people went for healing.
Huh.
And it's just a dirt floor, adobe building. And in that building, you see crutches that have been cast aside. You see wheelchairs. It's an amazing feeling to be in that space.
Have you been there?
Yes, I have.
Great.
Maharaj, this is, I don't even know what shrine this is, but it is one of the islands near Venice, Italy.
Okay.
And of course, Venice has its own very big and very ornate and beautiful churches, the main cathedrals. But we were recommended by somebody just, to go there. And everything was in Italian, so I still don't know. But the church there was, when we entered, it was completely bare brick. So nothing, no plaster, nothing pretty, no beautiful chandelier. The altar was plain wood and very small and very, very bare. And but the moment we entered the church, it was a completely different feeling. We did not want to
Yeah.
leave it. Yeah. So it was some kind of holy place because we saw a lot of people visiting that, coming in, and many things were being sold, like crosses and pictures and things like that. But yeah, so something very basic compared to all the other churches.
Exactly. So it only shows that many people for many years, decades, centuries have had contributed to the spiritual vibe of that place. In the Vatican, there is the Pieta, a sculpture of Mary holding the crucifix, so holy and powerful. Okay. Yeah. Have you been there, Victoria? Or
Yes, I have, and
uh-huh.
it's right at the beginning of the Vatican. When at the Vatican Church, when you walk in, it's to your right, and it's just so powerful. Just even talking about it right now, just is so holy. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
To remember the Basilica of Saint Clements in Rome, it gives a very solemn and sacred feeling. I have okay. I agree about the period. Okay. So see yes, this is true for every faith tradition, every spiritual tradition. There are places which have been sanctified, holy places made holier with associations of with many great devotees. Shanti Ashrama Meditation Cabin has a very inspiring atmosphere. Yes, and we are going there soon. In 2 weeks, we shall go to Shanti Ashrama Meditation Cabin. All right, on 30th April. All right, we shall do the guided meditation. If I wonder if the converse is also true. What do you mean by that?
When I went to the Sistine Chapel, Swamiji, it was beautiful, and I was trying to imagine Michelangelo actually painting that and all that. But then it's become such a tourist attraction that it kind of bothered me that, that people are just coming there as a checklist. I will have to see it. So I was just wondering that, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
If
that is the problem. That is the
if
problem.
those kind of thoughts also kind of somehow
influence. Yes.
influence.
Right. Indeed. All right. Okay, so we shall do the guided meditation and take 1 minute